right. Um, yeah, this was another Patreon request, I'm sure. Uh, and it's the Tragically Hip, their last tour, I think. Um, which fair play to him. I think, what did he have? Brain tumors or something, and still decided to do a tour. But well, we'll find out now in this. But yeah, I'm sure this is a documentary of their last tour, like not from the beginning to now kind of thing. But yeah, let's go.
Does your mother tell you things long, long when I'm gone? Who you talking to? Is she telling you I'm the one? It's such a grave mistake. I'm wide awake. I mean, it was just a dream. It was the best I've ever felt on stage, you know? I would have loved to say thank you face to face to face to everybody, somehow. I want the shows to go on forever. It's been a long time coming. It's well worth the wait.
Walking off stage in Kingston. I've been the guitar player in the Tragically Hip for more than half of my life.
We don't go anywhere.
When it's done, it's done. And what then?
Just on trips. We haven't seen a thing.
I still kind of see us just piling into the van and driving off because I've known all these guys since we were kids.
It's a safe mistake. It's been a long time running. It's been a long.
There's far more inspiration and celebration than most people were expecting. And so all I did was make an effort to notice it and accept it.
I'll drop a caribou. I'll tell on you. I'll tell on you. I'll tell on you.
How many people get to turn the lights off on all those great cities? How many people get to go and say goodbye in their own terms? That doesn't happen very often. But if you can go and do it the way you want to do it, there's something really cool about that.
Boatload of nerve. I would say you've been told. You work me against my friends and you'll get left out in the cold. It's the same mistake. It's been a long time running. It's been a long time coming. It's been a long, long time running. It's well the way. It's well the way. It's well the way.
don't know what we were planning. A tour. The record was made. I guess we probably wondered what we would do next. And then, you know, yeah. Brain cancer. Yeah.
Good morning. My name is James Perry, and I'm the head of the Division of Neurology here at Sunnybrook Hospital. I want to thank you for your attention and your concern. It's my difficult duty today to tell you that Gord Downey's brain tumor is incurable. He has a primary brain tumor. This is one that started from within the brain itself. It's not cancer that is spread from another part of the body. And these primary brain tumors are infiltrative by nature. So they're impossible to remove completely by surgery. They frequently recur, and they require other therapies.
The first time I heard the hip, a guy named Greg Buckley came and picked me up at the farm. And he had fully completely in his tape deck. And he said, "You got to check this band out. Like, they're really cool."
The first step in managing these, beyond getting pictures like MRI scans of the brain, is an operation. And at Sunnybrook, we're very grateful to Dr. Douglas Cook in Kingston, better known as DJ Cook, who is a friend of the band and an excellent neurosurgeon. And he performed Gord's surgery and excised the bulk of the brain tumor.
We had to have discussions like, you know, what would you prefer? Living without being able to speak or have new memories, but have more time with your family? Or should we limit things and ultimately give you less time on Earth, but have higher quality? And ultimately, Gord opted to have a full temporal lobectomy, which is quite an invasive large surgery, where we removed the entire temporal lobe, and then I removed the hippocampus and moved back along the back of the hippocampus to remove as much of the enhancing tissue as possible.
That must be a crazy thing to do, to operate on someone you're a fan of as well. Especially that type of thing. That must be a kind of weird headspace that you're meeting kind of a hero under them circumstances. Is kind of, yeah, that's mad.
The best case scenario would be 4 or 5 years of survival with no further neurologic decline than what he's experienced now.
What played definitely on his mind was my family and my brothers in the band. It's kind of over for everybody, and that's a lot to bear, I think. It definitely was, it was crushing. You're the father of 4 children, and it's just everything. The ground beneath you just falls away. It's just, there's so many things to worry about, you know, let alone just dying.
I went up one night in February, howling winter at the time, about a week into his radiation. And I hadn't seen him since this happened. He had 2 surgeries and all of it. You know, he literally wasn't in good enough shape to, you know, form any sentences. I mean, he was really, you know, beat up, but also, you know, memory, and he was just having, you know, he was confused, and He and Pat, you know, they were just both wanting me to stay. So I ended up going to all the radiation treatments.
30 sessions, 6 weeks of radiation, like every day except for weekends, in conjunction with chemotherapy.
Pat would crank music, and, you know, one day it'd be Old Water Boys, and I'd just be like, oh, God, thank you, Pat. And then it would be like, you know, the Bee Gees, who are my secret, you know, it's not a band that you're supposed to, but God, I love them.
I can feel in my life. How can we mend this broken heart? He started saying a little bit, you know, we were supposed to tour, right? We got this record coming out, right? And I'm like, yeah, it's supposed to come out in June, as far as I know. Well, we're going to tour, right? And I was like, oh, you know, I mean, really, honestly, and it's no, I would say it to him, it just was like, wow, I just don't know if he could ever, the way he looked, the way he felt even, he couldn't even stay awake.
We went into the first rehearsal. I say we because I'm just...
This is kind of a weird thing for me to watch, because, yeah, literally not that long ago, my mate was pretty much dead. He had cancer, and he went to the hospital, and they basically said he's fine, and to basically walk it off. The next month later, they found cancer, and I think it started with skin cancer. Then they looked, it was in his liver, his kidneys, or whatever, or in his stomach. And the first place it goes from the stomach is to the brain. So as a kind of caution thing, a precaution thing, they scanned his brain, and he was just riddled. And it's weird because I went to see him in hospital, and he was the same with the memory thing. Like, seeing me obviously triggered off a lot of memories, but then he'd be talking, but he was also saying weird things about one thing. Like, when I walked in, he went, you'll know. Did I stalk a girl on a BMX for 6 months? It was like, nah. And then you'd bring up other things that did happen, and he'd go, see, I remember that. So if I remember that, and that, like, it was honestly like a kid, like talking to a kid. And then I spoke to him, I rung him like probably a few weeks after he was so bad, and he come back round, right? And he's getting better. Like, he's on the mend proper, but like, when I saw him in hospital, he was gone. Like, it was talking to a completely different person. It was like, it was so weird. It was like so childlike, and it's scary, to be honest, because he's only a couple of years older than me. He's not that much older than me. But yeah, it's crazy. So watching this is kind of mad, because like, although his wasn't primary brain tumor, I think he's got something, a ridiculous amount of brain tumors in his head now, but they're all being like, they can. But yeah, this is kind of weird, because it's like, yeah, I have this kind of in my actual life at the moment, so it's kind of weird to watch. But yeah, let's go.
Taking him there and sort of staying there as his guardian. You know, all the word finding and name finding was still a major problem. There's a lot of swelling still in the brain. There's still residual radiation effect, and maybe even some disease. You know, he couldn't give you one name of an album or a song or anything, or, you know, let alone the lyrics.
So that first rehearsal, I'm not sure what to expect. And it's like, oh, wow, because I actually couldn't remember a damn thing. I think I started to cry.
Why don't we start with that one? Play that one? Yeah, because it's sort of, you know.
Sure.
Again, yeah, literally, my mate had the same thing. He, to the point where he couldn't play a computer anymore. I was playing computer his whole life, but got to a point where literally he sat there and that made him cry. Something he's been able to do his whole life, and he just had no idea how the mechanics of a controller worked. Like it just gone. It's crazy.
You ready?
I know that one.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
Escape is at hand. Just thinking it started, you know, Phantom Power.
Not even a plan for what song they were going to do first.
Just off the top of my head.
But for whatever reason, Paul just started playing Escapes His Hand for the Traveling Man. I actually have it videotaped.
I wonder, would we have... Hopefully we didn't start with that one, because that's a bit of a tricky one. So I don't think we would have started with it, but maybe we did.
Indulgence isn't the right word, but yes, let's get together and play, and even if entertaining the idea of going on the road is giving him a signpost in the distance, then if that's helping him feel better, then awesome.
I did not think there was any chance in hell that we were going to make it to the tour.
There can be a disconnect between what the person sees, so their insight into their deficits and nature of disease, and what others see. Gord was a pro, and he was really confident that he could do this. But I could see, other band members not so confident.
I didn't want to get on stage and have him have that moment on stage where he was completely lost. And I certainly didn't want to get up on stage and have him have a seizure and have 10,000 people with their iPhones out uploading it.
I'm getting a little buzz in the right ear. You got that?
I said, I definitely want to do this. I want to try and do this. There's just no way. I think if I don't do it, I will be just crushed. You know? Just crushed. I don't want to go out like that.
All right. Treasure or worse. I watch the end of man and I dream like a bird. I remain unloved and I forget a lot. Then I try not to try and I can remember.
So I had everything kind of on hold. As soon as we knew we're going, you just have to go with the spirit of block it, book it, here's my credit card. And then there's that kind of...
It was one of the rare things that was kind of out of our control, and the safety net was pretty thin. Up until the start in Victoria and the end in Kingston, you know, it could have ended at any point in time. We didn't know. Our job was to protect the band.
We've been doing this for 30 years and never rehearsed for a tour. This time around was completely different.
We would go take a break, and he would get on his bike. He'd get his feet moving. He'd do some stretches. He would keep working at it, and he wouldn't take a break. He worked and worked and worked.
There were days where I thought, you've got a long way to go. But he had this fire within him, and he had this goal in his mind, and he was driven, and he knew what he needed to get done somehow.
We had the Victoria Arena for 2 nights before the show. So we would normally do that for one night, but this extra nervous about this. Can Gord do it? Really was the bottom line, physically. Or is he gonna drop? So that was hanging over everything. Again, Gord confident, but everyone worried. Doctors around, paramedics, So that's a reality, and
Yeah, we'll stop there. That'll be the first part. Fair play to him, because from seeing my mate, very similar to him in a lot of ways, and to be in that kind of mental state, and yet still want to go out and perform and be that determined to. It's that's for real a real true performer that loved his audience, and respect the Gord Downey for that. Very brave as well, because like the band is saying, it's like, especially for someone like him, a performer like him who's so just immaculate in his performance, to be kind of that that what's the word? Can't think of the word. But yeah, this is, like I say, it's a very surreal thing to watch. At this point, the time for me, but it's respect to him. But yeah, we'll definitely carry on with this. But that's part one. Sweet.